So, you got her pregnant. You knocked her up. I can just tell you right now, if you're not absolutely sure this is the girl that you want to marry and spend the rest of your life with her, you have just created a huge mistake. You've messed up. Now, it's not the end of the world, but absolutely do not make the second mistake and marry a girl that you truly do not want to be with. You do not want to have her as a wife, but you're going to marry her because you're pressured into it by society, whether it's by people in your family, her family, people in the church, friends. Okay, guys, I just had to make a drink. It brought back some bad memories because I'm actually speaking to you from experience, okay? Now, I was lucky enough to have great advice from my mom, my stepdad, and my dad, okay? I had 3 people that give me excellent advice about the situation, and I'm going to pass it on to you. So let me repeat the basics, first of all. Unless you are absolutely madly in love with this girl and you are 100% sure you want to spend the rest of your life with her, do not marry her. Again, you've already made one mistake. Don't compound it and make a second mistake. I don't care what people are telling you. Family, friends, church, doesn't matter. Don't do it. All right, guys, and the first thing I'm going to tell you to do, and I know this is hard to do, you need to be honest. You need to get this out in the open. You need to talk to the girl. You need to talk to your parents, your family. You need to talk to the girl's parents, the girl's family, and you need to be honest about how you feel and get it out of the way. It's going to tear you up inside. You're going to be thinking about it all the time. You're going to be under pressure. You're going to be upset. The best thing you can do is just clear the air and get this information out into the open. Okay, here's something that's not going to be very popular, probably especially not with the girl, but it's mandatory that you do it. She calls you up, she says she's pregnant, she has the kid. Whenever you can, as soon as possible, you have to get a DNA test, okay? And it might piss her off to high heaven, I don't care. Guys, a DNA test is like a death row inmate getting an appeal, right? Very, very seldom are they successful. But when they are successful, it saves your life. So it's mando that she get a DNA test. I'm going to tell you right now, guys, do not believe that she's just been with you, okay? Because chances are, if you guys aren't in a serious committed relationship or cohabitating, she's been with other guys, okay? I mean, if this was just a casual fling, do you really think you were the only one? So it's absolutely mando that you get a DNA test, okay? Under no circumstances are you going to take her word for it? How many times do you read in the paper that a guy pays child support for 16 years and then finds out the kid's not his? How many times did you see shows like Jerry Springer or Dr. Phil where they say you are not the father? I mean, guys, this happens all the time. We're just going to be responsible. We're going to cover all the bases and we're going to get a DNA test. Okay, guys, now don't get it wrong. Just because I'm saying you don't have a responsibility to her does not mean you do not have a responsibility to that child, because you absolutely do. Whether, it's going to be a financial responsibility that you have, and you also have a parental emotional responsibility where you have to be a parent, okay? I'm not going to give you a free pass on this. And if you're the type of guy that thinks it's cool just to go knock up girls and not pay child support and disappear and not be a part of their lives, then go ahead and just click off this video. Hope you got life insurance, and it'd just be a terrible tragedy if you got hit by a truck, Unfortunately, that would probably benefit your kid more than you being a deadbeat dad. So guys, like I said, you don't have a responsibility to this woman, but you absolutely have a huge responsibility to the child that you played a part in bringing into this world. Now, it takes 2 to tango, but I'm going to tell you this right now. If the girl's coming at you and she's over 30 years old, she's 26, 28, 30, she did this on purpose, okay? She deliberately did it, okay? I'm telling you right now, most women, most people, girls that have been sexually active since they were in high school, 16, 17, 18 years old, so they've been having sex already for 10 years, and then all of a sudden they're 28, they're 30 years old, they're single, they're not married, and then boom, they come out pregnant. Guys, they did that on purpose. And they did that probably to try to tie you down, lock you down so you could provide security and support for them, because that's what most women want, okay? Now, I'm not going to say always, but I am going to say most of the time. So you need to keep that in your head. Here's something else too. You've already screwed up. So what you need to do now is you need to seriously consider going and getting a vasectomy, because here's the thing. You've already proved you're not responsible, all right? You've already screwed up once. Don't screw up again, okay? So unless you're absolutely sure that you can wear a condom and flush it when you're done with it, not just throw it away, 100% of the time, you need to go get a vasectomy. And if you think you might want to have kids for some reason in the future, then you need to go down to the sperm bank, jerk off in the cup, let them freeze it, and then go have your vasectomy and then make that decision down the road, okay? Because the last thing you want to do is be a person that has 1 kid, 2 kids, 3 kids, 4 kids, all out of wedlock, different baby mamas. I mean, guys, get a grip on it, okay? It's not cool for you. It's not cool for the girl. It's not cool for the kids. All right, guys, now I'm going to go ahead and tell you about my experience. So what happened is I was dating this girl. We broke up. We had about a year and a half relationship. She was actually married but separated to another dude, okay? And anyways, she was a dancer. She was working at the strip club, and me and her used to go out. We used to party hard. We used to have a good relationship, and I liked her in the beginning of the relationship. But like most relationships, it cratered. Things just kept going downhill. Things got worse and worse between us. We were both young. I'm not saying it was her fault or my fault, but things simply weren't working out. So we broke up. She was pissed off about this. She was upset about this. So about 3 or 4 months later, she lived in a different city than I did. She lived about 6 hours away. She came through town and she called me up. She said, "Hey, I'm coming through Dallas. Do you want to hook up?" I said, "Sure." Met her, went out for some drinks. I was 19 years old. I still remember. And then we went to a hotel. We spent the whole weekend together in the hotel. And then she went on to Arizona to hang out with her family or do whatever it has to do. Well, sure enough, 6, 8 weeks later, 2 months later, whatever it was, she calls me up, tells me that she's taking a pregnancy test and she's pregnant. Guys, I was demoralized. I was 19 years old. I was scared. I didn't know what to do. So I didn't say anything to anybody about it for the first couple months. And it was just tearing me up. I could not sleep at night. I mean, that's why I said you got to get this out in the open. You got to tell people, you got to move forward. And I still remember walking in and telling my mom in her office. I walked in, I said, "Hey, I need to talk to you." And she was really busy. And she's like, "What is it?" She kind of wasn't paying attention. I said, "No, Mom, I really need to talk to you." Guys, remember, I'm 19 years old. I just signed my first professional baseball contract. She looks at me, she goes, "Well, spit it out. What is it?" And I said, I said the girl's name, and I said, "She's pregnant." My mom looks at me and she says, "Well, fuck." She said a lot of other things too. So then she said, "Well, the first thing you got to do is you got to tell your stepdad and you got to tell your dad. We got to tell everybody, figure out what's going on." So I told my stepdad, and he actually told me, he said, "When's the last time you seen her?" I said, "Well, I haven't seen her for 3 or 4 months until we hooked up over that weekend." He said, "I don't believe it." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "I just don't believe the whole thing." He said, "I don't necessarily believe that she's pregnant. If she is pregnant, I don't necessarily believe it's yours." He said, "I wouldn't sweat it." That's what he told me. And, that went over a whole lot better than what I thought it was. So I was pretty happy about that. And then I called my dad and I told him, and he said, "Well, you definitely got to get a DNA test." He said, do not believe that she's the only one that you're the only one that's been with her. You got to have a DNA test. He said, "And if that DNA test comes out positive, then you need to pay what you owe on the kid and you need to be a father." He said, "And if it doesn't, don't worry about it." He said another thing too. He said, "From this point forward, you really you don't need to be with her. You don't need to be having very many conversations with her. You need to keep this on a business term. You need to keep this on, did you go to the doctor? What were the results? What's going on with the pregnancy? That's it. There's no more relationship here. no more communication here. And pretty much my mom just said the same thing. She said, hey, she was pissed, okay? She said, look, I'm going to tell you this right now. You've already screwed up once. Do not marry this chick, move in with her. It's going to be a disaster. Don't do it. She said, both of you are kids. Neither one of you have a real way to make a living. You need to just see how this thing plays out, but do not compound the mistake by getting married. So everybody wants to know what happened. Well, guys, I'll tell you what happened. DNA test came back, and sure enough, I was not the father, okay? And I think in this case, what happened was the girl got pregnant and she looked at the options. She probably knew who knocked her up, right? And she looked at me and she figured I was the best option. And that's pretty scary, right? Because if I was the best option, that other dude was a total screw up. All right. So anyways, guys, smash that like and subscribe button if you hadn't already done it. Any questions, comments, concerns you may have, hit me down in the comment section below. I'm telling you right now, it's not the end of the world, okay? You need to man up. You need to talk to her family. You need to talk to your family. Do not let people pressure you into this, okay? Because here's the thing. You're going to be the one going to work every day. You're going to be the one changing those diapers every day. You're going to be the one paying for that kid every day, okay? Do not marry this woman unless you're absolutely sure that it's your decision, that you want to do it, okay? Don't let anybody else make any of that decision for you. And right now, guys, people are probably going to be pissed off in the beginning and upset and mad. And if you do have that kid and the kid does happen to be yours with the DNA test, everybody's going to be happy and say, oh, it's a blessing from God. And, and it's actually a result of a sexual act, not a blessing from God, but okay. So they're going to tell you that the kid looks like the mom, the kid looks like the dad. We're going to baseball games, t-ball, kindergarten graduation, all that stuff. So it's only going to get better, okay? But like I said, don't be pressured into getting married. All right, guys, that's the end of the video. Go ahead and smash that like and subscribe button if you haven't already done it. And like I said, while my opinion is not the most popular opinion, I can promise you it's what you need to do. Guys, be responsible out there. Why don't we avoid this whole situation by simply not getting her pregnant in the first place, okay? Use protection. Do not take her word for, I'm on the pill. Do not take her word for, I can't get pregnant. Guys, don't do that. Don't do that. You're going to get burned. I mean, look at the consequences. The consequences is a lifetime of emotional torture, of financial torture. Sure, there's going to be good times and you're going to love the kid, of course. But guys, I'm telling you right now, unless it's a marriage, unless it's planned and you're absolutely 100% sure you're in love with her, you need to be using protection. Trust me. All right, guys, like and subscribe. See you down the road. Be safe.